Simone, first of all, thank you for coming in. Really appreciate that. Could you describe what happened and maybe your emotions now, knowing that after winning the gold in Rio, you're not even going to have a chance in the final? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard for me to be sitting up here. I feel like I want to share my story, what I've been through this past year, especially the past couple months. It has not been easy by any stretch. And so I knew that every 100 or every race I was going to have at this meet was going to be more of a challenge than it has been in the past. And I think we saw what happened. I placed 9th. I haven't quite processed it completely, but the one thing I have processed is that I am proud of myself, and I did everything I possibly could have done to set myself up to be my very best at this meet. And that 54, I don't even know what the time was, was as best as I could be today and in this moment. And that's a tough pill to swallow, but I think what makes it easier to swallow is I really went out there and I did my best.
Simone, if you could just kind of articulate what you have been going through and how tough it is just even to have gotten here, to be honest.
Yeah, about 11 weeks or so, I was diagnosed with OTS, which is overtraining syndrome. I was feeling pretty bad the week before the San Antonio Pro Swim Series in March, and went to the doctor after that competition, and that's when I was diagnosed. So the meet was in San Antonio. I went to a doctor in Houston because I went to visit my family for a little bit. I went back to Stanford and modified my training as much as I possibly could while staying in the water. And after about, I believe, 2 weeks of modified training, I wasn't seeing any progress with my performance in the pool. It actually was declining. And from that moment, with the doctors and kind of Greg's recommendation, the end of March, I took 3 weeks off completely out of the pool. I can't remember the exact date, but I do remember my first date back training was April 17th. And it was kind of one of those bittersweet moments where my body wasn't doing what I knew it was capable of. I had moments where I didn't even want to go to the pool because I knew it was going to be bad. And it was one of those moments where I felt relief because I was like, this is what I need to even get to Olympic trials. But it also was hard because 11 weeks out from Olympic trials, you're taking 3 weeks out of the water. I wasn't doing any exercise. I went home and I spent time with my family. And it was an uphill climb once I got back in the water. You know, some days were good, some days weren't great. And I could go on, but to sit here and even do what I did and to be at this meet is something that I can't take lightly.
Simone, for the layman who may not be familiar with this, is it something that you had heard of before? Is it something that's common in swimming? Do you know anybody who's dealt with this type of thing?
I don't know. I don't know. I could assume it's probably common in swimming, and we just don't know it. As much as swimmers train and push their bodies. Of course I'm biased, but swimming is definitely, I think, one of the hardest sport because you have to be in the water every day. There's no real off season. you're continually, pushing your body in and out of the water to maximize your potential. And no, it was nothing I ever heard of. My mom did a lot of research after I went to the doctor, and just the symptoms that I told the doctor and that I had told my mom before I went to the doctor was definitely signs of overtraining syndrome. And I guess I should elaborate on that. So I guess the first sign was increased heart rate at rest, but also in training, simple sets that I could do at a lower heart rate. My heart rate spiked to something higher. Insomnia, depression, anxiety, sore muscles, just walking up the stairs to the pool, I was gassed. Workouts that seemed to have been easier seemed to be really hard. The effort that I would give on, say, a 50 at second 50, 100 was, kind of like the effort I gave today. I was trying really hard, but the best my body could give me was a 54. And it was definitely discouraging. And I think there's the physical component, but on top of that is the mental component of, like I said, I was going to practice and I didn't want to be there because I knew I wasn't at my best. And that's hard because I love this sport. And that was hard for me to grasp during that time.
Simone, can you tell us how you're feeling physically now? How is everything working, so to speak?
I don't know. I think things still feel hard. I guess if I went through the race today, the first 50, my speed doesn't seem to be there with the effort that I'm trying. And I think it's kind of hard to taper coming off of 3 weeks, not training. And I had weeks where I would single on Monday, double on Tuesday, off on Wednesday, single on Thursday, off on Friday, and single on Saturday. And if you know swimming, that's not a lot to be in the water, but it was just whatever I could do to keep my body and my recovery as high as possible while still staying in the water. And like I said, it was hard. I'm a hard worker. I don't like getting out of practice early. I don't like missing practice. So to navigate all of that while still thinking about Olympic trials was hard.
Simone, how are you looking at the 50 at this point? And then I have a follow-up.
I'm gonna go for it. I don't think that I would have showed up to trials if I didn't feel like I had any reason to be here. My faith is extremely important to me, and I'm confident that God wouldn't put anything more on me than I can bear. And I'm just hopeful.
Given how tough you are on yourself, is it almost a huge thing for you to be able to say, I'm proud of myself, that just what I've done here is a big step for me?
Absolutely. I'm someone where I accomplish something, I'm always looking forward to the next thing. I don't feel like sometimes I always sit back and appreciate what I've done. And this was the first time I think I showed up to a meet, and before I even dove in to do a race, I was proud of myself. And I think that's a big step. I hope that inspires more athletes to feel that way. I don't think I'm alone in feeling that. I feel like we're not proud of ourselves until we accomplish something so great. And I've done it. I'm an Olympic champion, so I know there's more there. Like I said, it's still a tough pill to swallow, but that's what's giving me peace is, like I said, I know I did everything I possibly could to even be here. And that makes me proud because I continue to stay strong during this process, even when there were times when I wanted to give up.
Simone, again, thank you for your courage and being here. I can't tell you, I'm sure we all feel this way. Thank you. There are going to be a lot of people tonight hearing about this, a lot of kids. You're a role model to so many, and obviously such an accomplished champion. When you think about March that you started to feel this way, was this coming on for a few months, I guess, is first part of it. When did you notice it? And what kind of message is there for you to send out? And maybe the physical part, but the mental part, as you know, Naomi Osaka has spoken about this. So many other athletes, obviously Michael, Allison, and I'm just curious what your voice is on the mental. You've talked a bit about that, but I guess, again, before March, when did you feel this coming on? And then second part, and thank you so much, is the mental part and maybe your voice there about what an important part that is. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it kind of started a little bit in January. I think it was something that I didn't quite notice until my body like completely crashed. It's kind of like you do a practice and you get through 85% of it, and then like the last 15 kind of diminish. And I think that it may be like one day a week, not a lot of days, and then the next week I swim really well, and then the week after that it may have been 2 practices and then swim really well, and then the week after that it may have been 1. So it wasn't something that I think was easy to spot until March, and you could kind of look back at those moments where, okay, maybe it started this practice, maybe, or this week, or so forth. But I think just from the mental perspective, I think it's kind of hard to put into words because during this process I definitely was depressed. I isolated myself from my family. My mom would ask me questions on the phone and I'd snap at her in ways that I typically wouldn't. I had a hard time eating at times, and so I think the only way I got through it was, talking to my loved ones and being surrounded by the support that they could give me. Talking to my sports psychologist, openly talking to Greg and Tracy about what I was feeling after each practice, or if I had a down day. But I also think from the perspective of going after your dreams, I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, if your dream is important for you, you fight for it, but this definitely was my biggest fight. And like I said, I hope that people can be proud of themselves with the work that they put in before they even see their accomplishments come into fruition, because maybe it didn't happen today, but this isn't the last time you're gonna see me. And this isn't the last time I'm gonna do something great in the pool. And I'm confident in that.
Hi, Simone. Thank you so much. What you described has some similarities. I know it's not the same, but it sounds kind of similar to what Ella Easton shared. Did you guys talk about any, getting through this together and what she was going through as well?
No, we didn't. When Ella was training, I did know what she was going through, and I tried to offer as much advice as I could from an outsider's perspective. and I don't want to share the details of, you know, Ella's experience, and I guess I don't think she's completely shared her story. And to, like, just to be honest, it wasn't something that I talked about with her. For reasons that she would know and I know, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to share that part of her story. So yeah.
I heard what you just said about this isn't the last time. So what do the doctors tell you about kind of a long-term prognosis on this type of condition, and could you eventually get past it with, you know, regardless of what happens here, you know, could you get past it in the future and come back and, you know, be your old self again?
Yeah, I mean, I think in some ways I kind of did. I went to Austin and I swam a 53.8, and 2 days before that I did a broken 100 and I swam a 55.4. And so, you know, to go a 53.8 after I had only been in the water 24 days, like, I think it does show that, you know, my body recovered and I can do it. But yeah, I had the conversation with the doctor, you know, when he and Greg suggested taking 3 weeks off, and I mean, I couldn't really take more than that and I couldn't really take less than that, and so that's where we are today. But he said that, you know, pending I make the Olympic team, I have to take, you know, a couple months off to really just let my body rest. And I think I'll be fine. I think that I'll continue to, you know, follow doctor's orders and take it slow as I get back into the pool whenever that happens. But yeah.
Obviously, thank you, and we wish you the best. You mentioned a sports psychologist. I was wondering if you want to share it. Of course, you've been able to work with a therapist, and also to bounce back on another question: is it so much about going back to your old self or finding a new self in a way?
I think. So, what about the therapist? Did you want to know?
Just if it's a process that you're working on right now, and also, like, if it's so much of going back to your old self or finding a new self in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't talked to my therapist today. I'm sure I'll reach out to him, or he'll reach out to me today. He's always watching my swimming and just offer me words of encouragement as I get ready for the 50 free. But I don't think that I'm 24 years old. I'm about to be 25. I'm not the same, you know, swimmer that I was last year or in 2016. And so I think that as people, we're always evolving, and we are always, you know, striving for something better. And I think that whether that is an accomplishment or, you know, growing into who you want to be, your values, what's important to you, that makes you new. And so I think even sitting here today, I'm a new Simone than I was in 2019, just with how I think, how I feel, what's important to me, how I want to inspire others. I mean, this is just another, you know, way I want to inspire others is, you know, taking care of your body, focusing on mental health, along with obviously the diversity component. And so I think that each year I'm always learning and growing in and out of the sport, and I'm excited. I love who I'm becoming. I think that's why, I mean, I was able to walk out of the pool and have my head held up, is because I did my best, and like I said, I'm proud of it. Yeah.
Simone, you hold your cards so close to your vest, and you could have stood up, you could have sat up here last Saturday and, like, in effect said, you know, I'm dealing with this, and lowered everyone's expectations. What kept you from doing that?
Like I said, my faith is extremely important to me, so I think I was having a lot of moments where I was just telling myself to just believe in my abilities, believe in my, my capabilities to just go out there and race. And of course, in the back of your head, there's like this realistic voice saying, okay, but you've only been in the water for 8 weeks, and you're about to swim at Olympic trials. But I think I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. I still don't want them to feel sorry for me now. I'm confident that the path that God has me on is the path that I'm supposed to be on. And that's nothing for other people to feel sorry about. It's not even anything for me to feel sorry about. I find comfort in that. It's hard to find comfort in that, but I think that's definitely what faith is. Comfort in the things that you can't see and that you don't know. And so that's kind of the perspective that I had going into the 100 free was, who knows? I could go out there and break a world record. Like, I just was going to go out there and do my best, and my best could have been really good. And unfortunately it wasn't, but I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't, talk about it.
Hi, Simone. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I know it's hard.
Yeah.
We're all crying a little bit. And I might be a little bit off base here, but just wondering how much the pandemic played into this without the usual tapering for big meets. And I think all of us within lockdown became very myopic in what we were, I got too focused on my own work and got burned out. So I'm just wondering if that played into this?
I think it could have. I think that, I haven't been on social media, so I don't actually know what the press has been talking about, but I think for all of us swimmers to be focusing on the Olympics for a 5th year mentally is just hard. And I think, it's hard is just an understatement to, push that back. And obviously it was pushed back for, important reasons, but to focus on a goal like that for 5 years instead of 4 is draining. And it is like, you're motivated still to go for it because it's your dream, but also at the same time, it's like you're trudging along at times. And I know that, I don't want to speak for every swimmer, but I know that everybody here was just excited to be here and swim. And so, I think it could have played a part in it. I do think that being a Black person in America played a part in it. This last year for the Black community has been brutal, and I can't say that wasn't something that I saw. It's not something I can ignore. And it was just another, factor that can influence you mentally in, a draining way. And so I think those were kind of 2 things that kind of played into a little bit of the overtraining in some ways.
Rick, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.